Back to another Under the Hood podcast with Hutcheson Ford. Well, my name is Cosmo, along with Mike Tucker from Hutcheson Ford and HutchesonFord.com. Mike, welcome.
Hey, Cosmo, welcome to you.
How are you? I'm glad the air conditioning's working. We'll get into we get this warm little snap here, and
Absolutely.
more heat coming, of course.
Yes.
As we all know here in Missouri, no matter where you're at, summer heat will be here and in full force, and before we know it, it's going to be blazing away on us, and we're going to be talking about heat index and all that good fun stuff. So a lot of things, we were talking about this before we sat down to record today and talking about air conditioners in cars and how blessed we are to have them, number one.
Yes.
Instead of just rolling down a window and hoping for the best that you can get with a breeze. And you asked me a question, do you know the difference between the max air and regular air or AC? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. And sometimes, especially with some of these newer cars, you look down on some of these buttons and knobs and, there's all kinds of different things that are a big part of the vehicle. And, of course, obviously you're cooling not just for our comfort as the drivers and passengers, but also for the engine itself.
Well, being in the car business the way I am, there's so many tricks of the trade that I may take for granted, but where the air conditioning is concerned, whenever you're using your max AC, it's taking the air inside the cabin and cooling that air, and it's able to cool that air much faster because that air is already cold, But when it's just on the AC mode, it's taking the outside air, bringing it in through the engine compartment, and then trying to cool that air for your air conditioning. So that's kind of basically the difference in the max AC versus the AC.
So if you're going to be driving, 20 minutes downtown or going to here or there or whatever, either one's going to cool you, but what would be the recommendation for what should you use?
And 9 times out of 10, when you start that car, it's just on that AC mode. You have to reach up there and hit the max AC.
Right.
And then you notice it blows a little bit faster and whatnot as well. But I highly recommend that you use the max AC of your vehicle because you're using that inside cabin air instead of that outside air. And that air's coming in through the engine compartment, like I say, and then it's got to go through the cabin air filter, and that's how they kind of filtrate that outside air, and try to get the pollen and stuff out of there before it comes into the cab as well.
I'll confess and tell on myself here a little bit. Until I met my lovely wife, Catherine, here about 6 years ago, I did not know the difference. And I thought max AC meant that it was going to blow a little harder, like maximum air condition, maximum AC, all right. It wasn't even an option on a couple cars I don't think that I had. And then I realized later, she's like, well, no, that's just circling this air. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's do that one instead. But you brought up a great point as a father of a couple kiddos that really battle through allergies, especially my youngest, my son, 14, almost 15. That kiddo and the allergies and pollen, we all fight through it in the springtime here in Missouri. And you go outside, and I know no matter what, whether you've got a white truck, a black vehicle like I've got, and you walk out and there's a nice coat of green powder everywhere, that's going to be in the air, obviously, and then into your cabin if you're not using the right setup.
I went and washed my truck yesterday, on Sunday, and then get up to go to work this morning, and it's just yellow again, and I drive a white pickup truck, but the pollen, I've just never seen it as bad as it is right now. And, of course, we've had a lot of rain and whatnot, but those allergies can really be tough on folks.
So the air filters, obviously, when you're getting when you're getting your vehicle serviced and they're doing an oil change or doing a different system on there, and they show you that air filter, that's important. That's blocking that out of there, and
basically you've got two filters that you're contending with there. You have your engine air filter and then your cabin air filter, and be sure and ask them that you want to see both those.
Okay.
And they'll get them out and show them to you.
And what is the usual?
And you'll be surprised.
Well, there's been several times where you get an oil change done, they walk one in there, and you're like, well, what science experiment is that? And you're like, oh, that's my car?
A lot of customers, well, how often do you have to change these filters,
Right.
And a lot of it depends on your driving habits. If you're driving a lot of county roads or gravel roads where you're drumming up a lot of dust, you may have to change these filters more frequently, say every 15,000 miles. if you're not driving in those severe conditions, maybe you just do a lot of highway driving, or you don't get off on the gravel roads much, then maybe you'll only have to change them every 30,000 miles. But you definitely want to ask your repairman to be checking those, because if you have a restricted engine air filter, especially the engine air filter, it's really going to affect your fuel economy. And at today's fuel prices,
I was going to say,
that's something to consider.
Yeah,
So
anything that can help with fuel economy.
That motor has to be able to breathe, and it breathes through that engine air filter.
So the more that engine air filter is clogged up, the less it can breathe clearer. I mean, just like you put your hand over your mouth as opposed to just breathing normally. That's gonna be a big difference. Obviously, to get the air conditioning unit to be able to cool in the first place, there's all kinds of factors that go into that, between different coolants and things of that nature. And as we get set to go on a lot of summer vacations and road trips, whether it's just an hour to St. Louis to a Cardinal game, or whether you're going to Chicago or to the mountains or to the beach in Gulf Shores, highly recommend obviously that you get your vehicle checked and ready to go for the road, and not just tires and all that stuff, but obviously your cooling system as well is very important. You're not on the side of some strange road in Alabama.
That's exactly right.
With a radiator blowing everywhere.
The cooling system is very, very important. You want to make sure you have enough engine coolant in there to keep the motor cool. It is a pressurized system, but your service repair shop can pressurize that system and check for leaks and make sure you don't have any hoses leaking or water bypass hoses leaking, things of that nature. So it's very, very important to get your cooling system checked, as well as your air conditioning system. You can do a partial charge on your air conditioning system. There again, it's a sealed system, but we hook up all the gauges, check the level of Freon. If it needs more Freon, we can add Freon as well as dye. And the reason we put the dye in the system is if it does develop a leak in the air conditioning system somewhere, we can use a black light and spot that leak a lot quicker and faster to save the customer time on their repair bills, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Anytime you got my attention as a vehicle owner going, wait, save on repair bills? Okay, an opportunity. And then we could have a spin-off television show from your guys, and we'll call it CSI Hutcheson Ford. You get the black lights, and you're looking – and sometimes I'm sure for those guys, when they're trying to diagnose a problem without that, you're looking for all the evidence of the crime, if you will. What's the issue? Is it this hose? Is it over here? Is it is there a crack in the actual radiator, or what's going on? And so many times I think everybody, especially the newer some of the vehicles get, and so much stuff is kind of done for us, if you will. A lot of car owners don't necessarily take some of that service maybe to heart and need to get those, especially before they go on long trips.
Well, these cooling systems and air conditioning systems, things of that nature, to me, they're kind of out of sight, out of mind for the customer. You don't ever realize you got a problem until you got a problem. But the best way to alleviate a problem is to, maintain that problem. And this is how you maintain those systems so you don't have problems down the road.
Absolutely. Get online, HutchesonFord.com. Of course, you can swing by the dealership, call over there, set up a time in advance. Do it well in advance of that whether it's for whatever, Memorial Day, July 4th, whatever, before you go on those long drives. Get an appointment set up. Bring the car in. And I know you guys can help customers in all kinds of different ways, whether it's something quick for an oil change to do fast, or, if they need a little more time, a ride to work, or another vehicle for a little bit, or however that all works out in advance.
Cosmo,
they can help.
We're all on a budget, let's face it, and maybe you got a problem with your air conditioning system, but you just can't afford to fix it right now. We can help with that. Mm-hmm. We have payment plans that we can help you with, things of that nature, because some of these repairs can kind of get out of hand.
Sure.
But there's a lot going on there at the same time. Maybe you've got a trip coming up in July, August, and you just don't have the confidence in your car to get it out of town. Well, that's a perfect time to call Hutcheson Ford and take advantage of our rental car department and rent one of our vehicles that we maintain every 5,000 miles. We check tire pressures. We check all these things we're talking about. It is truly race ready for you to take the kids or whatever and go to grandma's, or you're going on your vacation to North Carolina or Gulf
you're leaving
Shores.
The kids at grandma's and you're getting the heck out of Dodge is what you're doing.
Yeah. So we have those advantages, with the rental car program. So there's lots of ways Hutcheson Ford can help, and We just want to simplify things for customers.
Absolutely. Every time we're driving somewhere, whether it's to visit my wife's family in Alabama or wherever we're going, you just even in town around Columbia or in Jeff or where at the lake, and you see somebody on the side of the road, that hood up, and they're leaning in, and you're just like, oh, man, it's the worst feeling in the world. And I think a lot of times so much of that can be prevented with regular maintenance and just especially before going on long trips.
It really can be.
Because you talk about cost-wise, it's going to be even more expensive if you're 3 states away or 2 states away to get things taken care of. So,
our guys at Hutcheson Ford and gals do such a fantastic job, but with our dealership being right there on the interstate, Cosmo, it's amazing how many people we do have traveling that come through and have trouble, and we do our best to try to get them repaired and back on the road as quick as we can, because there's just nothing worse than breaking down when you're away from home and you know absolutely nobody. But that's another key point about Hutcheson Ford. We are an approved AAA repair facility. So what that means, if you're a customer out there that has AAA automobile insurance, you just call AAA, they come hook you up to the wrecker, they bring you right to our facility. All your membership plans and policies apply, for discounts and whatever the case may be. But a lot of people don't realize that we are a AAA repair facility here in St. James, and I think the closest one east of us is like Pacific, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
And then west of us, you have to go to Springfield, Missouri to find a AAA repair facility. So we're pretty proud of that.
Absolutely.
It's not mentioned much, but we kind of get caught up in just doing what we do day to day. But AAA is a big thing out there, so take advantage of that if you're a AAA member.
Yeah, as you guys start planning out, you got your budgets for this, or this is going to be hotel money, this is going to be fun money, this is going to be kids' go-kart and mini golf and whatever money for your vacations. Before you go, make sure it's not just for gas and that stuff, but make sure you get a full check. And start with that right now, especially that cooling system. We all kind of forget. You just take it for granted. All right, it's hot. Oh, my God, it's hot. And you get in the car, and all of a sudden the worst feeling in the world is you're already hot, your butt's sticking to the seat, and now your air conditioner's not working, and it's 115 in the shade. Get that checked now before we start. And even if you're not going on vacation, even if you're just doing your normal thing, it just happens to be in June, July, August when it is ugly Missouri hot. Get a start on it right now. Get a hold of Mike and his team and the service department at Hutcheson Ford. They can get that charge going on the AC, make sure it's right, make sure your filters are right. And with any questions, whether it's simply something about your tires or oil changes or any of that stuff, please ask the questions. Service department, again, as I say it all the time on the air on Y107, every time I've been to the dealership, there's an ambulance, there's some kind of law enforcement vehicle. Yep. Heck, now you got a beer truck in there. We got to have beer delivered. You got to, if the beer guys are trusting the beer trucks, you can trust your family vehicle, car, truck, SUV, van, you name it. Your team does an amazing job, and I think you start with that. And like you said too, you can set up with payment options and make sure it's in your budget. Don't put off a potential major repair just because you're afraid you're not going to be able to pay for it right now, and end up even in a worse situation in the middle of a foreign state somewhere and really sticking it to you then. Yeah,
there's some amazing things with the Ford Pass credit card that we offer. You can get up to 0% financing, on some of these repairs, and just pay it off in 2 or 3 months. It's a really neat system.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time. And I know first thing I'm doing is double-checking that AC unit. And now that I know exactly what max AC means versus regular AC. And if you guys listening to the Under the Hood with Hutcheson Ford podcast ever have a random question about a vehicle or, whatever, or an idea for one of our episodes, we would love to hear it.
Absolutely.
Drop us a line, either me at the radio station at Y107 or check out with Mike at the dealership and send us a message on our socials, and we'll try and incorporate it into an upcoming episode soon. Appreciate you listening. Again, look them up, HutchesonFord.com, right there off the interstate in St. James. Mike, thank you.
Cosmo, it's not what we do, it's how we do it. Thank you.